Welcome to Ngosi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled within.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Welcome to Ngosi Talk Shows, everyone. Find your own voice and lead from within. My name is Nomsa Clara Mngbe. I'm the founder of Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency and the founder of Ngosi Talk Shows. So at Ngosi Talk Shows, we help you to find your own voice so you can lead from within, be your own, write your own story in your own life. Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency, we help you find love. So I have two amazing coaches today with me, and they're going to tell you what they do. We do different things at Ngosi Talk Shows. Over to you, Dr. Laura. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, Nomsa. Thanks so much for having me here. I appreciate your time and your efforts and everything you do. My name is Dr. Laura Cobb. I'm a life coach and licensed professional counselor, author, speaker, and advocate of everything that is great in the world. I work with high-achieving, well-educated professional women to help them live more fulfilling lives by stopping self-sabotage and getting down to the core roots of why they act the way they do, and so they can show up more confidently in their lives. I also work with corporations, providing keynote speaking opportunities, and operate and provide live events for general nonprofit organizations and also for-profit organizations.
My name is Amanda Cottrell. I am a teacher, an author, and an illustrator. I am the founder of Art, Mindfulness, and Creativity, and I help people find their own unique creative capacities within themselves. Apparently my cat really wants to be in it today. So yeah, I believe that everyone has their own unique creative capacities within themselves, and you can feel so empowered and enriched in your life when you finally find those passions within yourself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Amanda. So our topic today is basically our world has been divided into there's non-vaccination and vaccinated. So the world basically has been divided, scientists and us basically. So I just want to basically you guys, like if anyone is watching or listening, please do type in your comment so we can hear your views. And Dr. Laura, please, what are your views about this vaccine and non-vaccinated? For me personally, I just feel that because we watch the celebrities, what they are going through, and the Djokovic, the basically a tennis player that had to be deported. So that is a choice. So for me, that is a choice that has been. Hi, Dr. Laura. Okay. So it feels like it's a choice that has been stripped away from somebody, whether somebody wants to be vaccinated or they don't want to. It's like I have my values and my beliefs. So if somebody tells me that, Nomsa, you can't do this, it will feel, can you imagine how it will feel? Or if I feel that I don't want to do this and somebody actually is forcing me, like this guy, when he's being deported, we can see his story and the people will be talking about his story for a very, very long time. But there are people, families who are not celebrities, who are facing the same thing, similar things, and no one talks about them. So I just want, Dr. Laura, if you can just Just talk about your views, please.
Sure. Thank you so much for asking me that. And I have to be completely transparent is that I did not hear of this tennis player before this event, which means that the message is so much bigger than the messenger. That this can be a polarizing event. And it's not really just an event, this whole pandemic, that it could often seem as if there's two opposite camps that they're set up, and there's those who are saying that do not lay hands on my body, and there may be others who are saying, how could you possibly put your hands on somebody else, meaning that they could infect somebody else. Now, regardless of the status of whether or not I've been vaccinated, that's not the issue. The issue, as I see it, is freedom of will, free choice, freedom of speech. And as of late, it's in regarding some of the events that have taken place in the United States, and namely a specific state, Texas, regarding the abortion ban, that the laws that have been set in place, it's not exactly the same. One may attribute it that it's akin, that individuals who are told, when we're told that we can or cannot do something, that especially when we cannot, then there can often be backlash. And then there's this holding on to control and holding on to who's to say what I can or cannot do with my body. Because this is the vessel that we have right now. This is what we do have control over. And for someone to say what we have to do or what we can't do based on or against our own belief systems and our values and our moral compass, that the emotions can rise, and often so, because when we're in a situation where we're at right now with this pandemic, we have no control whatsoever. So the one thing that we don't have control over, the pandemic, that the one thing we do have control over, which ourselves, that there's vehement tension. It's like a dog with a pull toy, just chomping at the bit and holding on to that. So that's the challenge as I see it. And I'm curious as to what my guest host also has to say about this, because for me, it's about hearing all the voices. And as a scientist, as a researcher, as a data clinician, and a statistician, I try to take an objective stance. However, I'm not in the trenches. I'm not in the grass on the front lines with everybody else. I'm in my home. So what right do I have to say about what anybody else does to their body or not? Only to the extent of, does it provide protection from others with whom they come into contact with, and then possibly trickle down and then affect me? So these are all just grandiose questions, and these are just ideologies and stuff. When it comes down to it, you have to make a decision on a daily basis. What's your choice?
Well, for me, I've always believed 100% in choice and in open public debate and in research and questioning the research and being able to question things and then repeat those things in the scientific process. And what we're seeing right now on a scale, a world scale, is the suppression of information from one side. And we're only hearing, especially in Canada where I am, we're only hearing one side of the narrative. And only recently has things started to change just a tiny bit, where we're starting to hear politicians and newspapers finally say, oh, well, maybe it's not quite working because the numbers and the statistics in our country are clearly not showing what they were claiming before, that now it's showing that the double vaccinated have larger case numbers per 100,000 in most provinces than the unvaccinated, and we have all these rules in place in Canada where you can't, if you're unvaccinated, you can't go watch your child play hockey, you can't go to the gym, you can't like it's insane to me because the logic behind it doesn't make any sense. There's no data showing that, and if you looked at the data outside of Canada, if you looked at what was happening in Israel, because Israel has been and was initially starting to do the the vaccines and vaccinated the majority of its population very, very early. They were on to their third and fourth doses in September, and they had their numbers skyrocketing still. And so if we all had looked at what was happening in Israel, we would have predicted that this was already going to happen. So now in Canada, we're seeing the exact same thing. And I'm like, well, I could have told you that what is going to happen in September. And now their solution is, oh, go get your booster. Well, it's like the first two didn't work. So now you have to go get a booster, and it's like no other vaccine in history has required a booster every 6 months. Like it's so for me, it's been like follow the money. Where is what? Sorry, my cat is like hitting my computer and it's like making it wobble. For me, the whole time since day one, it's been, well, I want to wait till the trials are over so that I can make a truly informed decision and give informed consent for this vaccine. The FDA has been sued to release the documents for Pfizer's experiment, and they wanted to put it away for 75 years. They did not want to release the documentation on the research, and now they've been sued and they have to release all of the documentation by, I think it is the end of March. And that's like very concerning to me. Like, what company would not want to be completely transparent with the people that they're injecting a vaccine into? And so the transparency piece has been something that's been very concerning to me since day one. And then we have this piece on this division of vaccinated versus unvaccinated, whereas I view it as we are the human race. There's no division. I don't care if you're vaccinated. I don't care if you're unvaccinated. I don't care if you like what your belief system is. I care that you're human and you deserve empathy because I haven't lived in your shoes. I don't know if you've had a family member that's died of COVID. I don't know if you've had a family member who's had or a close friend who's had a vaccine injury and is now injured for life. And so I can't judge you. I don't know if your child had vaccine adverse effects to the like normal vaccines when they were itty bitty, and that's why you are vaccine hesitant. Like, I don't believe that we have the right to judge anybody based on their choices, especially when the research isn't showing that the vaccine prevents spread. So whether you choose to be vaccinated or not, it doesn't affect anybody else. And that's the part that is like mind blowing to me, because if it was stopping spread, then I think you would have a much better argument for being angry with people who are unvaccinated. But that's not the case. So that part is the part that I really struggle with, and for me it comes down to why are professionals leaving medicine, especially in Canada. I don't know if that's happening other places, but why are professionals sacrificing everything to speak out against what's happening? They have no benefit to speaking out against what's happening other than their moral compass. And when people are like leaving their jobs because of their moral compass, that says, whoa, that guy's got everything to lose by saying, like, this is what my research is showing and it's going against the narrative, and now they're being fired or put on leave of absence or having their medical licenses removed. And it's just like mind-blowing to me. We should be able to ask questions. As a teacher, I teach kids to critical think. I teach kids to look at more than one resource. I teach things to, like, if I say something, question me, because sometimes I mess up the facts. Like in the fall, I was teaching them about the solstices, and I accidentally wrote in our agendas, today is the vernal equinox, and the vernal equinox is the summer one, and not a single child questioned me. It was actually the autumnal equinox. And so the next day when I realized my mistake, my question across the board was, what mistake did Miss Cottrell make yesterday? And they're all like, I don't know. And then I was like, okay, we're going to rewatch this video. And then they finally glued in, and I was like, I made you all right. Today is the vernal equinox. And that is not correct. Did none of you realize this? We had just watched this video. You need to be able to question me, because sometimes my brain is thinking a million steps ahead and I make mistakes too. So you have to be able to question me. You have to be able to question authority, because sometimes they're not right, and our history has shown that.
I actually agree with you, Amanda and Dr. Laura, because at the end of the day, we all have choices and people have their own beliefs. And Amanda she's saying, basically the trial, some people wants to wait till the trial is complete, but some people don't mind having the vaccine. And also those who have been vaccinated, they are basically, it doesn't stop them getting infected. But if somebody is saying, I'm choosing to be not to be vaccinated, for me, basically, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. There are no guarantees that those who have been vaccinated, they're not going to die. And even though some people don't get, they get mild symptoms, those who have been vaccinated, we don't know basically the future for tomorrow. We don't know the pandemic, basically the vaccine, what is going to do tomorrow. We don't know. So if somebody's saying, okay, these are my values, these are my beliefs, I'm not going to get vaccinated, I would like to wait until the trial is complete. Then I decide. So for me, basically, this person is not refusing to say, I don't want to be vaccinated. They are giving themselves a choice, and also they are choosing the consequences for that. They are willing to take those consequences, because the vaccination or non-vaccinated, it does not stop both of them getting the virus. Basically, we went to a party over the weekend, and few people have tested positive after the party, and some of them have been vaccinated. So for me, basically, I feel that the world, we are fighting the unseen. And that unseen is dividing. Instead of us coming together as one, is people are being divided. And if we are fighting, basically, we are fighting this unseen, and then we at the same time fighting against each other, because this might be for affecting families. Basically, if their family members are refusing, because myself, I've had that there's going to be there's booster and the fourth one. So when I heard my father-in-law telling me a fourth one, I was like, is this an obsession? Is it all about helping people, or is it becoming an obsession? Why do I need to fourth booster? Basically to protect me. So I was like, it feels like it's more like an obsession, or somebody's making money out of it. I know that some people who are watching this video, for me, basically, I'm not judging those who are not vaccinated. I'm not judging people who are vaccinated. I'm all about the choices. We make the choices that we believe that we basically are ready to face the consequences. If somebody says whatever will be, I'm willing to do whatever it takes for me to refuse the vaccine because I don't believe in it, and I'm willing to die. So why would I want to take that choice away from them? Because it is choice and values. They make us who we are. Is the beliefs, and they influence everything in our lives. So if those things, like in the beginning, I said, if there is food that I love, it's similar to the food that I love, similar to the things that I love. Like, let's say, going out, my interest. If somebody comes to me and says, "You're not gonna do this," parents do this to their children, by the way. you're not gonna do this, go out until you finish this. So I'll be like, hang on a minute. I don't understand. You're taking my choices away. So if basically right now this guy is not going to defend his basically opening thing because his choices have been taken away. If he goes, it doesn't mean that because you're not vaccinated you're going to spread the virus. It's a choice that he has made. For me, I'm trying in psychology, basically, I'm trying to use the psychology to get around all this. I can't find it. I just feel that basically we are basically is the choice that people are being forced. The information for me, basically, if you provide me with the information and say this is the information, like Amanda, you were saying, we talk about the information that if there is a document that has been released to say yes, 100% this is safe, 100% this is going to do this, then it is fine. But at the moment, there is no reassurance. So people, for me, basically, if somebody is making a choice, they're saying, I am not going to do this, it means they are willing to face the consequences. No one knows the future. Because the talk show, Kamau says that there are no guarantees for tomorrow. It doesn't mean that people die from flu. People die from cancer. We die from all these diseases. Some people take the vaccine and they have reaction and they die from it. So basically, it's all about God being on your side. That's what I believe. That is all about God being on your side. If I catch the virus now, it's all about God saying, "Domsa, you're going to survive," or "You're not going to survive." So that's how I see it. So I don't know. Over to you, Dr. Laura.
Thanks so much. So, to be completely transparent, I've been vaccinated 4 times. And a lot of people say, "What? Are you serious?" Yeah, I have. And the reason for that involves my family and my son. I entered a research study about a year ago that was a double blind research study. So, what that means is that neither the researcher nor the participant knows whether or not they're receiving the vaccine. And so there are two protocols. There was one where you receive the vaccine first, and then you get a second shot, which is a placebo, and the other one, which you get the placebo, and the second shot you get the vaccine. The only person who knows is the pharmacist who is distributing the vaccine, and it's tracked. And the reason why they do that, double blind, is because they don't want the researcher, the doctor who's administering, the staff who's administering the vaccine, to have any type of influence. They could persuade the client or the participant to say, "Oh yeah, I really felt something. Did you feel anything? Are you sure you didn't have any symptoms? Are you sure?" Because that could influence bias. So I wasn't eligible for the vaccine at that time. And by the time April came around, I was already vaccinated more than most of the United States population who were eligible. So I didn't need to get a vaccine by the time that I was allowed to. I chose that because of my own family, and I wanted to protect them in case I got infected. So when we talk about smallpox and chickenpox and the polio and the vaccines and rubella, measles and mumps, and the vaccines that if you choose to have your child vaccinated, it's a choice. You don't have to. So as a result, there are consequences. If you do, you have consequences. If you don't, there are consequences. So there is an option of choice. So if you don't have your child vaccinated to go to school, then there's possibly an option that you may have to homeschool your child. That's a choice. That's your option. And culture, unfortunately, now I live in the United States. I don't know what it's like, except for Germany, to live in other countries of the world. And I'm certainly not a resident or a German national citizen, local national. We all have choice. Now, to lay someone down, to forcibly inject someone with a shot, that's not free will. We do have choices. Now, because of that, there's stigma, and there's an assumption of what's your moral code and where are your ethics. Now, once the September came around, I was eligible before then, even so, but I didn't need to get it yet. I chose to get the Pfizer shot, and I subsequently got a booster. I don't know anybody who's got 4 shots. I'm 49, and I'm in relatively pretty good health. So the fact of it is that it wasn't just for me, and I can't count on tomorrow. All I can count on is today. I do get a flu shot every year. I'm fully vaccinated with all the other stuff that you get as a kid. I cannot guarantee what's going to happen tomorrow. Neither can I guarantee what's going to happen with my loved ones. I have today. I hope for 10 years from now. None of us have tomorrow. Not a single one of us. I think it really primarily comes down to choice. And that if that choice, that freedom of choice is taken away, that there's going to be more strife and backlash and conflict. And I do know that when I go into a store, anytime I leave the house, because I work from home, anytime I leave the house, I feel naked if I don't have my mask on. I don't view it as someone telling me what I have to do. I view it as I respect humanity enough to say that I love you and respect you. I love me enough to demonstrate that I'm in this. And they don't ask me, people don't ask me when I'm going to the store whether or not I've been vaccinated, even though I do wear my mask. See, that's the kicker. My concern with the assumption that there's no proof that vaccinations are working is that how much more risky behavior is taking place if someone doesn't have the vaccine, assuming that others do. And to implement if there's a choice to not be vaccinated, are then the individuals who choose not to, are they engaging in other protective behaviors so that they won't be infected, or that if they are infected, that they'll be protecting others? Likewise, for those who have the vaccine, if they are vaccinated, are they assuming that because they've been vaccinated that they're fully protected? Because you can still be infected. Just because you get the flu shot doesn't mean you're protected against getting the flu. There's an assumption. That's the thing with vaccinations. There's no absolute guarantee. So when you look at the actual absolute raw data, scientists, we cannot predict the future. We can only assume based on the facts that we have. We didn't know what was coming with rubella, smallpox, chickenpox, any of those vaccinations that we generally allow our children to receive. We didn't know what we were dealing with, so we had to rule out. That's the thing about scientists. Anything in life, there's no absolute hard, firm data whatsoever, except for benefit of the doubt and all other things being equal. The data lean towards we're protected from getting worse. We're protected against, if I had an autoimmune deficiency, if I get the vaccination, then it's a protection against dying as opposed to not being vaccinated. It's a protection of my father-in-law dying alone in his emergency room bed, having no loved ones around him, even though he was vaccinated. And he's 80 some odd years old. It still affected him. Now, for an 8-year-old or an 18-year-old to have the same thing happen, he might not have died. Where are the numbers that we're looking at? What's the general population? Who's getting vaccinated? What are the risk-taking behaviors that are associated with those individuals who have been vaccinated? So if I get vaccinated, I'm protected. I can be around anybody. I don't have to wear a mask, nothing. I don't care about your state. I just care that I have my freedom of will and my choice, so I can do whatever I please. That doesn't protect you from getting the virus. It doesn't protect you. So do you think that there's a false assumption that you are protected? Just because you wear a mask doesn't mean that you're fully protected. There's all these different barriers that we can put in, and vaccination or not, you have a choice. My family members who have chosen not to get vaccinated, I respect you as a person. I don't agree with your choice. However, that's okay. I still love you and I respect you. You won't come in my home. I can still have a relationship with you. I respect your decision. I have friends who've chosen not to be vaccinated, and their family members are saying, you need to do this, and don't you love me? You love yourself enough to do. Here's the deal. Lisa Nichols, she's a famous speaker, and this is a quote from her. Your conviction and convenience do not live on the same street. Your conviction and convenience do not live on the same street. If your conviction is so strong that you vehemently disagree with getting the vaccination, don't get the vaccine. Don't do it. But then you might be inconvenienced a little bit, meaning that you might have to homeschool your child. You might not be able to go to work and other things that may happen. You choose your consequences. If you do get a vaccination and there's a risk either way, then we're choosing the free will to say, I'm of sound mind and body. This is my decision. And I am choosing the outcomes as a result, the possible ones that could happen. We could be hurt. I had symptoms as a result of my shots. I did for about a day, but that doesn't mean that I died. And when you look at the numbers of people who had vaccinations and the number of people who've had complications as a result who died because of the vaccine, there are more people who died from COVID than from getting a vaccine shot. So when we talk about raw numbers and raw data, I know what it's like to have family members die from COVID. I know what it's like to have family members die from not being vaccinated. I know what it's like to walk into a store and having the assumption placed on me, oh, you didn't get vaccinated? Why are you wearing your mask? You didn't get vaccinated. Yeah, I did. I've had 4 shots. Then why are you wearing your mask? Because I love you enough to say, I'm protecting you in case something's wrong with me. It's not about just us. When we're talking about humanity, think about the broader scheme of life. It's not just about us. We're in this together. So regardless of your choice, I respect and honor you. I won't let you come in my home. At the same time, I can have a conversation with you. You might not want to hug me and disagree with me completely because I got vaccinated. That's your choice. So then how do we then continue to have this relationship with one another and choose to respect you? I don't share the same religion as you. I still love you and I respect you. I don't believe in the way that you parent your child. I still respect you. I don't believe in your choice of work. I think it's whatever you do, depending on. I don't think it's morally ethical. Okay. So these are the things when it comes down to when we lay our head on our pillow at night. Is it about control or when we get down to empathy and really understanding where someone's coming from? Because this is billions of people that are affected right now. We are talking 3 people right now. I don't know who's watching this or who's going to watch it. It doesn't matter. I respect you enough to say, I'm not willing to come to your office and being interviewed in the studio because I don't know who else could be infected or who hasn't had their vaccination. I'm willing to do this instead. Let's have some compassion.
For me, the
Amanda?
thing that the thing that I'm really struggling with right now is like in Canada we have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and right now all of those charter rights are being taken away from people who are choosing not to get vaccinated. When, like, if you look, I don't know if I can show the stats here, the highest number of cases in Alberta right now, the green line, that is the double vaccinated. So that is straight off of our government's website. In Ontario, you can see the exact same thing is happening. The green line is all the double vaccinated. So
Could you provide the website? I can't see it.
it's just, if you look up COVID Statistics Alberta or COVID Statistics Ontario, per 100,000, the number of cases that we are having are higher in the double vaccinated than any other statistic. They have unvaccinated, partially vaccinated, and fully vaccinated. So they're removing people's rights based on if they're vaccinated or not, yet our statistics are showing that the double vaccinated are getting it at a higher rate per 100,000 than anybody else. And
I don't
so
understand. I'm sorry. I don't understand how I can't. Can you describe that for me differently? I see a line here, and I see new cases, and then a 7-day average. Okay.
yeah.
Each day shows
So
new cases.
so
But I
so
don't
if you
see.
go, it says fully vaccinated per 100,000. I'll send you
Yeah.
the
I can't
things
see.
after.
Okay.
And so taking away rights from people based on vaccination status is causing division, and it's not following actual science. And so our prime minister has gone on public television and said that anyone who's unvaccinated are racists and can't even pronounce the other word, misogynists. And that is hate speech. In the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, that is illegal. You can be thrown in jail for that, and yet our prime minister is still running our country. You're not a leader if you are causing division. You are not a leader if you are attacking a group of people, especially when you can't make informed consent on these. You can definitely make a personal choice, but informed consent means that you have all of the data. So when people took the formaldehyde medicine for morning sickness, they told them that it was safe, and then they ended up with babies with impartial limbs. When my grandma was first a new mom, the doctors told her to start smoking because she had an anxiety disorder, and they said that smoking would help. And then we learn years and years later that smoking causes cancer, that smoking causes lung problems, that smoking causes all of these different things. And yet doctors at the time were telling her to start smoking because it would ease her anxiety. So we don't know the long-term effects of any of this. And so when you don't know the long-term effects, like now, if I chose to start smoking, I would know the long-term effects. I'm not being forced by my doctor or the government to start smoking, because I can make the logical choice to not start smoking because we have long-term research on it. These vaccines, if you look at the VAERS reports out of the States, they have the largest vaccine adverse effects ever in history. The number of adverse effects that have been reported have skyrocketed since these vaccines were introduced. And so it begs the question. I can send you all of this data. I have been researching this for a whole bunch. If you look at the VAERS reports, I will send you the links to the VAERS reports.
Do you have access to it at this moment so we could comment on it while we're live so that the audience, we could have actually...
I would have to find it in my screenshots, but if you look at the VAERS data, I need to see it. Yeah. So if you look at that, if you look at informed consent, I think, is the most important thing. And open public debate from both sides, because you're talking about the mask protecting people, and then I read a whole bunch of research on how the masks are actually causing other issues like sinusitis and different things that are affecting children with their ability to breathe and the lack of oxygen. And so whether that one study is correct or not, it really doesn't matter. It matters that you could have open public debate on it, and one side isn't being censored over the other. And so in Canada right now, like, you have to wear a mask to go to the grocery store or do this, but they haven't provided the research that's backing it. They're just saying, do this and that'll protect you. But then there's like all of these other research articles that are saying the opposite. And so it's like, well, why can't you have an open public debate about it? Why are those things being censored? So I think that that's a really important question too, is why are certain things being censored and other things not? Joe Rogan just recently had Dr. Robert Malone on his podcast, and it was the highest watched media in the entire world. It beat out CNN. It beat out everything.
What was discussed? I don't understand what was discussed.
It was if you look up Joe Rogan and Dr. Robert Malone, you can watch the entire thing. It's 3 hours long.
What was discussed?
He was discussing the vaccine efficacy.
Because something was very well, highly watched. I would want to know what was discussed.
It was about the vaccine efficacy, and Dr. Robert Malone was actually he has patents on the RMNA technology, and he speaks about all of the statistics from all different walks of life, and the fact that an independent podcaster has vastly outbeat the mainstream media is shocking, but also it's showing that people are starting to say, whoa, all of this is being censored. Why is it being censored? And why are we not talking about this in the mainstream media?
Doesn't sound like it's censored at all. If people are watching it, it doesn't sound like it's censored.
Well,
Sounds like
yeah, but then
if it sounds like if it's not censored, because if people are watching, then it's not censored.
Well, people are watching it, but then the very next day, 270 doctors demanded censorship of Joe Rogan's podcast on Spotify. But then it was revealed that only 100 of those doctors were actual medical doctors.
I'd like to know who the doctors are who are out.
They're trying to censor the information.
So the individuals who are proponents of and advocates of how can we possibly trust any data, how many of those people are actually collecting the data? So to fully understand the data that's collected, then you have to understand how the data is collected, what data are collected, and how the data are used. So
yeah. I would highly suggest you watch.
I would highly suggest that anyone who has a comment about it or question about the data understands the data. And if one can't report what the data are, then have the statistics available and ready so we can have an educated conversation about it.
Yeah, so I would highly suggest watching that podcast. It's 3 hours, and also the one with Dr. Peter McCall.
I don't have 3 hours. Do you have can you summarize it?
Yeah, I'm not really good at being able to summarize things, but he discusses all of these issues, everything that's going on, and anytime he's asked about his opinion, he states, I will not state my opinion. I will only state what the data is showing.
Yeah, that's really good to say. So I guess this conversation that we're having is invalid. According to that, if that's a litmus test, that I'll only state what the data are rather than my opinion, then the conversation we're having, if we're using that as a litmus test, then this entire conversation is invalid because we're stating our opinions.
We are stating our opinions, yes.
Right. So but if that's the case, if we're going by a respected surgeon, a respected doctor, a medical doctor, and we're using him as the litmus test of what is valid information, and he won't quote or say anything about his opinion, we're only going on data, and the fact that we're talking about our opinions here right now, then this entire discussion would be moot because we're only talking about our opinion, which means it's invalid, that we have to go based on data. So I'm asking for the data. I don't have the data with me. I don't. So
that's
maybe
why I say go watch the podcast by Dr. Robert Malone and Dr. Peter McCall. They are very, very interesting and very, very fact-based. And those things, I think, need to be open in public debate. And they have to be able to have... Dr. Peter McCall has been an expert witness on a number of cases against what's going on in the States. And it's really, really interesting to hear what they have to say. They're both immunologists, and well, one of them's an immunologist. But they have, very, very interesting things to say about what's going on, and based on statistics. And Dr. Robert Malone actually has a vaccine injury, and he talks about that in it as well.
I wonder how many vaccine injuries. That's really unfortunate that he's had a vaccine injury. That's
okay, Dr. Laura, you say you want to go?
I do have to prepare for my next appointment. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Do you have any words of encouragement before you leave?
I encourage an open forum for discussion, and I encourage respect for whatever someone chooses to do, and to understand that the world's not out to get you. Other people are not out to get you. And if there's any judgment that anyone has on anyone else, strongly encourage oneself to look at what judgment is taking place inside, because this is a subjective conversation no matter what. And so, to my friends who have not been vaccinated, to my family members who have not been vaccinated, to those who have not been vaccinated, I respect your choice. I love you, and I adhere and honor you for your steadfast adherence to your conviction, because that, besides anything else, is most important. And to place anything, I would, if there's for anyone to assume that anyone should or shouldn't do what others want, please don't shit on me. Please don't shit on each other. Respect each other's space. And to honor each other, to say, you know what, I disagree with you and I respect you, because would I rather be right or would I rather be happy? Because it comes down to what we learn in kindergarten. Keeps hands to self, works well with others. And if it's so important to get your point across, think about how much strife that's causing internally. And that stress will kill you sooner than any vaccination will. Thanks for letting me come on the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Laura. Thank you so much.
Blessings. Namaste, dear friend. It's a pleasure meeting you, Victoria. Thank you so much for allowing space.
You take care. God bless. And I actually basically would say like what Dr. Laura has just said, and don't be afraid to basically make your own decisions or your own choices. Follow your values, and know that you're willing to face the consequences, whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, because basically when life takes away your values and your beliefs, you have to push hard. You have to have the right information. You do some research. If you're not vaccinated, do some research, and just keep fighting for your battles, your beliefs. And if you are vaccinated, basically, we don't have a right to go around and judging people. Everyone has a choice. Everyone has a reason how they want to live their lives. And basically, and don't regret the choice that you are making, because if you regret it, for me, basically, I'm somebody that when I make a choice, I'm willing to face the consequences of the choices that I make. It doesn't matter. Unapologetic as well, and move forward as well. Whatever choice you make, even if it affects you at work, the stress that obviously is affecting people because of this. We are fighting the unseen, and basically just move forward with your lives, knowing that there are no guarantees. No one knows basically the outcome. How is this going to end? No one is a god. A scientist might be a scientist, but there are no guarantees that whatever they are suggesting is like the flu. People die from flu. People die from all sorts of things. So I think instead of us coming together as one, because like right now, my friends, basically, they are sick. For me, basically, on my side, they are vaccinated, they are sick. So if the vaccination was preventing somebody, and also I would say just do some research on your own and questions. If the scientists, sometimes you can contact people and question those who are responsible for the vaccine. So just get the right information, whether if you're not vaccinated, so you know that when you are making that decision, you are making the right choice. And because we all make our own choices in life. Did somebody make some comment? Yes, so we do make choices, and never look back or don't fear the decision that basically you've made in life. Because when you fear that decision, basically that means that you don't have control of power, control the choices and the values. When all that you're being told that if you don't do this, you're gonna do this. I know some countries basically you're not allowed to go to the gym, you're not allowed. For me, it doesn't look like a choice. It looks like a blackmail, because if somebody who is vaccinated, they are allowed to enter the building, and they basically carrying the virus. They can carry the virus. My daughter, she's vaccinated, and we find out a few days before Christmas. She was basically going out, having fun with her friends. And if she wasn't texting every single day, we wouldn't have known that she had the virus. Basically, she walked in one day in the house, coming out and having fun with her friend. I just said, "Could you please do some test, girls?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm positive." And we were like, oh, okay, it's time to isolate, but we wouldn't have known. So I would say basically the people that are vaccinated, I think we are basically spreading the virus. Um, so and yeah, she didn't have the symptoms, so she was basically isolating her friends, talking about the window, talking to her through the windows. And I learned something from that actually these kids are the ones, might be the ones that are actually spreading the virus. And on Saturday, went to a party and the kids were having fun. And my friends as well, she decided to test her daughter. And it was the same thing as well. And her daughter is still fine. So for me, basically, I would just say if you do make a decision, just be willing to face the consequences and stand by what you believe in, whether you're vaccinated or you're not vaccinated. As long you don't go around judging people, because we're not allowed to judge. We are not a God that we're just gonna go around and judge people. So um yeah, we never know what tomorrow will bring. So do you have any words of encouragement, Amanda, to our audience?
Yeah, I just believe that no
And
matter
also,
what we try.
before Amanda speaks, I know, Amanda, you've not been vaccinated, and I've been following your story as well. And your story, basically, you've met the people, the top scientists as well, basically trying to find out basically the answers that you're looking for, and you've not been getting anywhere. So, and that's why basically I decided we need to do these talk shows. And I've been following your stress, and right now, you are off work because of the stress that in Canada you have to pay for your own test, and every how many days?
Every 72 hours. And so I actually, because I've had a friend that was severely vaccine injured and she ended up in the hospital for 5 weeks. Actually, she's a coworker and then now only has one functioning kidney. Um, I've been wanting to wait till the trials are over to do enough research on it. And now my board of education has decided that you have to be vaccinated or you have to pay for the tests every 72 hours. Even though the government has given out free tests, they won't count those free tests. And my psychologist and doctor have both um, written doctor's notes and recommendations saying that Amanda has extreme anxiety. She's a single mom. This is undue hardship to make her pay over $60 a week to do these tests when everyone can get and spread COVID regardless. And they rejected my request to help pay for them. And so my doctor has put me on stress leave, which has been good because it's been very stressful for me when I look at it from a logical like this isn't making sense when the numbers are showing
Yeah.
that the triple and double vaccinated in Canada are getting it at the same rates as the unvaccinated people, which is happening based on the statistics here. If you look at what's happened in Israel, the main doctor in Israel just announced that their vaccine rollout has been a complete failure. And
It's when
so there's just I think that there needs to be more open public debate from doctors on both sides.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show. I appreciate you so much, Musa, and I know we'll be in touch very much soon. Amanda, it was a pleasure and an honor meeting you, and I appreciate you sharing your story. And I'm very sorry for the unfortunate events that have happened in your life.
Mhm.
and your family
Thank
members
you
and your
so much.
friends
Thank you so much,
unaffected.
Dr. Laura. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. For me, basically, I just leave our audience with basically just how we are not qualified to give you an advice, whatever. But all I can say is the choices that you make in life, they are your choices. Be prepared to face the consequences. We don't have a right to basically to judge you. Your values and your beliefs matters, and the decisions that you make as a human being, they play a very, very important part in your life. So no one can strip those decisions away. And for me, I'm actually watching this. I believe that so many people after this vaccine is going, there's going to be lots of people suing the government for bad treatment because the people believe that they're being owed something. So for me, I would just say, just basically vaccinated or non-vaccinated, stay united. And when you make a decision, that is basically let God be God, because we know God. The scientists are not God. And for me, basically, when I made a decision that this is what I'm going to do, it was basically based on the unknown. I can't say basically to somebody physically and go and say, don't get vaccination, don't be vaccinated. I just listen to people's beliefs, and I support those who are not vaccinated. I support those who are vaccinated. So that's what I do, because I don't know what tomorrow will bring. So I have no idea. I went to bed one day, there was no coronavirus, and I woke up and realized in China they are going on lockdown. So that's what life is about, I'm afraid. So thank you so much, everyone. We are here Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. UK time at Ngozi Talk Shows. If you want to get in touch with any of our coaches, please do. And follow them on their social medias and look at their websites as well, and get in touch with them through Ngozi Talk Shows. Live with grace, everyone, and God bless.
Namaste.
Thank you.